Hello, welcome back. Thank you, as always, for joining me. And however you have stumbled across this material, however it found you, whether you've been watching for quite some time or whether this just popped up from your YouTube algorithm and you're not sure why, consider that you're meant to be here. There's a message for you from your inner teacher, none other than our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. So, wherever you are on this thing that we call the spiritual journey, the path, the walk, welcome. You're meant to be here, which is pretty cool. We're going through chapter 28, section 1 today of the text of A Course in Miracles. And if you're a longtime student, what I'm about to say and we're about to discuss here may seem really familiar to you, or perhaps not. I don't know. No matter where you appear to find yourself, we're always invited to bring what Zen Buddhism refers to as a beginner's mind to the table. What does that mean? It means we approach every conversation, every moment of every day, in fact, every dialogue, every video, every time we open a spiritual text to read from it, every prayer, we approach it with what is known as a beginner's mind. In other words, we approach it leaving our preconceived notions to the side, setting them aside and not presuming to have all of the answers. Setting them aside and not thinking, I know this, I saw this yesterday, or I read that 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't need to hear that again. Well, did you put that into practice 10 years ago? And have you done it consistently for the last 10 years? Only you can answer that. If the answer is no, perhaps you're meant to hear it 10 years later. And here's something that should be very encouraging. You're different. 10 years ago, that was a long time ago. You are fundamentally different now, and perhaps when you hear this exact same thing today, you'll get it, and it will really make sense, a profound, deep sense, so that you actually feel, which is quite common, that I've always known that. Yeah. Now, when we don't approach these conversations with this beginner's mind, we think we have all the answers. We're immediately blocked. We're not going to absorb very much at all. So, each and every single one of these videos is for everyone, without exception. Makes no difference whether you're a course student or not. And if you are, it makes no difference whether you're just starting out or whether you've been doing it for 30 plus years. Who cares? It doesn't matter. What we learn here in chapter 28, section 1, may in fact come as quite a surprise for you. Approach it with a beginner's mind, assuming you know nothing. That's always a good bet. The miracle of true forgiveness, of extending love to the Son of God, this miracle that we're all about here, this is a course in miracles, after all. The miracle that we're invited to do, you are a miracle worker. Of course you are. A miracle does not have to involve walking on water or raising the dead. Not at all. In fact, it's any shift from darkness to light, any shift at all, from illusion to truth, from death to life, from the ego to God, from the ego to the Holy Spirit. that. And we're invited to perform miracles. The miracle of true forgiveness, as it's taught in this course, that. And in truth, the miracle doesn't do anything at all. It does nothing. That exciting. So, here, as we think of doing things in the world, to hear that something we're invited to perform and invited to do doesn't actually do anything may seem really, really contradictory. It may seem highly paradoxical, weird, and wrong. Well, I don't know. Yeah, bear with me. I think the Holy Spirit knows what he's doing, and in giving this course, Jesus knows exactly what he is talking about, doesn't he? Yes, he does. The miracle doesn't actually do anything. What it does is undo. It undoes all of the interference. It removes the clouds, the veil, all of the blockages that we ourselves have put up. We've put one blockage after another, one barrier, one wall, if you prefer, one after another between ourselves and the experience of truth, who we really are. The Course puts it in this way as barriers to our awareness of love's presence. Love simply is. God is. And what the miracle does is undo. It removes the barriers to our awareness of who, what, and where we really are as the Son singular of God. By the way, Son of God does not refer to only and exclusively the historical Jesus. It's all of us, God's creation, the Son of God, in other words. So, the miracle that we're invited to perform, that we're invited to do in our language, doesn't actually do anything. Rather, it undoes. Spirituality in many traditions is cast as an undoing or an unmaking. Yes. Yes. A Course in Miracles is far from the only tradition to posit that. If you're a student of Buddhism, that will seem extremely familiar to you. An undoing. Of what? The ego. This false sense of self and all of the barriers that we've interposed to our awareness, to our experience of truth. So here's an idea that we're not taught in school. The world was over long ago. Okay. Yes. Let's be glad that's true. Doesn't look true, does it? It looks like it's really hardcore and real right now. In fact, the world was over long ago. Long ago. It's past, and when we look at it and go through all of our daily grind, so to speak, all of our experiences with it, it's the past. We're reviewing something that has long gone by, reviewing. We have a choice in the present moment as to how we review it and which teacher we choose to review it with, the Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, or the ego, who is not capable of teaching us a thing. We can stay stuck in a really negative feedback loop of reviewing the past over and over and over again, or we could wake up from it now. That's the choice. You have this choice in the present moment. Each and every one of us does. So, what we're looking at is a memory. What we're clinging to is a memory. It was over long ago. We're looking at the past. That's why, in A Course in Miracles, we're invited to forgive the past. Let the past go. It's gone. Past. Past. The entire wobbling, spinning ball of rock. Past. And it appears real because we're keeping the past in memory. We're harboring our own guilt, our own fear. We're projecting it, apparently, outside of us. Voila, we see wobbling, spinning ball of rock with 8 billion plus raving, screaming, I love that, screaming lunatics known as human beings, plus all the other life forms, all of our insane and arbitrary divisions like political parties, nation states. What's that? It's nothing. It's a collection of lines that a bunch of old dudes drew on this thing called a map that's supposed to represent home sweet home. It's an artificial idea, as you well know. Yeah, we're not taught all this in school. The world was over long ago. It's our wish to cling to the memory of it that keeps us apparently still here. We keep seeing it and reviewing it until such time as we forgive and release it, completely let it go. And because we've grown accustomed to seeing ourselves as a physical body, we're afraid to do it. It freaks us out. That's actually an understatement. In fact, it induces existential dread and terror, honestly. If we're being really honest with ourselves, that's why this appears to take a lot of time. Our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, is loving and kind and won't rip the veil off of us if that would terrify us. So we appear to get what looks to be a gradual process. And this can be very frustrating. I get it because we want this over with yesterday. But what if we're not ready for that and we're only able to go a certain distance, in a manner of speaking, today? Well, that's as far as the Holy Spirit will lead you, because he wouldn't be doing you any service if he freaked you out by lifting the veil immediately. If you're not ready for that, you're not ready for that. So what? It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And our inner teacher knows exactly what you can do today. And you will not be presented with more than that. Even if your day is wild and crazy and seems very, very, very difficult, we never get more than we can handle. Now, the fact that you've had a lot of these days that we're just talking about, we all have, means you can handle quite a lot more than you think. I know you can handle more than you think you can. Want to join me? Excellent. Good, good, good. You're still here. The world was over long ago. We're looking at the past, and our memory is quite stubborn. We're clinging to it. Now, here's something that we can do. We can use this thing called our memory to remember the present moment. Not the past, but the present. We can give this device called memory over to the Holy Spirit for the purposes of healing. Memory is currently being used to keep us stuck. It can be used to unstick us. It can be used for healing instead of suffering. Instead of more of the same, it can be used to heal. Heal the mind. We give it over to the Holy Spirit, who has great use of it. Our inner teacher has great use of all of our illusions, like the body, like language, like memory. Memory can be used in a healing capacity to remember now, right now, not the past, but the present. What is right now? Not what's past, past, past. Microphone, the past. Computer screen with pixelated image upon it, the past. Yeah, all of that, the world itself, past. We can use memory to remember who we are right now. We can do this. You wouldn't have been led to this point if you weren't capable of doing it. So, no matter how weird these ideas can seem, and I get it, they can seem a little out there, you're capable of understanding them immediately, right now, or you would not be here. That's worth repeating. So you will hear that from this pixelated image all the time. It's a message that we don't get from the world. I mean, we may get a couple of glimpses of that, or there may be somebody in our lives that really can lovingly remind us of who and what we really are. But most of us don't get that on the daily. We go off to work, we pick up our social media feed. Oh boy, well, there's a bunch of stuff, right? We're bombarded with all of these messages that appear to reinforce this false idea of separation. And it's really important to take time out of your day or your evening to pay attention to this message from our inner teacher. I mean, it's really, really important. We can use this device called our memory to remember right now. We tend to think of memory as the past. I remember this picnic I had with my dad when I was 9. It was cool. We had hot dog sandwiches in the mountains or something. And we can remember all of these details of something that took place years ago. Yeah. Memory can be used to remember the present moment, the eternal present now, things as they are. This world was over long ago. In fact, it never was. Truth simply is, it's eternal, which means it's outside of our conventions of space and time, which, when you think about it, and I'm going to invite you to think about it, are separation ideas. They appear to govern this whole experience of ours. Wobbling, spinning ball of rock, we appear to be separate from our brother in space because we live on different continents. Do we? Exactly. No, because we're not a body. Mind is joined. There is one mind, who and what we really are, is beyond the concept of space completely and beyond the concept of time. That's also a separation device. And this wobbling, spinning ball of rock is carved into 24, 15-degree slices of longitude. What's that? Something someone made up. It's pretty artificial. And in fact, these wedges are strangely manipulated by world governments in weird ways. And we appear to be separate in time from those who have gone before us, people that appear to have passed away in this thing that we're experiencing as some kind of weird linear continuum. It's a separation device. truth is eternal outside of time. Who you really are is eternal outside of time. Who you really are is eternal outside of space. Those are simply separation ideas, and there is no separation. So, at any point in time, this can be a lot to digest. I most certainly understand that. We're not taught this in school. We're not taught this growing up. And if you were, consider yourself quite fortunate indeed. In fact, you're one of a scant few. Most of us were not. And we're relearning all of this as adults. This world was over long ago. You're reviewing the past. We're reviewing the past. We could choose to do this review with the Holy Spirit instead of the ego, and I hope that you may do that. The Holy Spirit sees right through this illusion. The ego would keep you in it. Which guide would you rather choose? Okay, yes. So thank you so much for tuning in to this and all of these videos. Again, it can't be stressed enough that you found this for a reason, or rather, it found you. Something has been uttered here that hits home for you, or you wouldn't still be watching. There's always at least one, and perhaps many more than one message from the Holy Spirit. You'll know what that is, so let it permeate your mind and do as you're called, instructed to do with it. Thank you. Along the way, should you have any questions, I'm here to serve as a guide for you, so please feel welcome to ask them if you've got them. And if you have not yet subscribed and joined us, please do that as well. This is the prompt in the corner of your screen. Click that, hover over that icon, join us, and we'll see you again here on the next video. Thank you so much for joining me.